The moment that you hire those people with experience, now you've hired people with bad habits. The chances of them changing is going to be very slim. People are not going to be willing to change, but if they're a culture fit, then you can get them to change their work habits based on processes that you create.
Escape the One Man Show podcast.
Every contractor thinks they need to hire someone who already knows the trades. This episode will change your mind. I'm sitting down today with my COO, Krystal Hernandez. 6 years ago, she was a part-time admin and a stay-at-home mom with zero trades experience. Today, she runs office operations, the call center, dispatch, HR, staffing, marketing, and accounting for a multi-million-dollar HVAC, plumbing, and electric company. I did not hire her from the outside for this role. And today, we're going to tell you exactly how we did it and what it actually takes. Let's get into it. Krystal, welcome to Escape the One Man Show.
Hi.
All right, let's start at the beginning. What were you doing before Climate Experts, and how did you even end up here?
So before starting at Climate Experts, I was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years. I had 2 little boys, 2.5 years apart, and I was just tired of staying home, tired of waiting for my husband to get home from work to be able to talk to somebody, and just wanting to have a little money on the side for myself. One day I come across a Facebook ad, and it was your wife who's looking for somebody for an office admin, and I said, what the heck, might as well try it. It was only going to be a couple of hours at night. I'd still be able to be with my kids during the day. And I came in for an interview when it was you and the office manager at the time, Robin, which is still with us. And you came in with shorts and a t-shirt and thong sandals, and looks like you just rolled in from the beach. And you said you were going to be hiring 2 people. And I said, why do you need 2? And I can do the work of both.
Okay. So office admin, what is that? What was that? Because I mean, that could mean a lot of things. So what did you come into? What did you first start doing in the company?
So I was calling our membership customers to get them scheduled for their tune-up. I would do permitting, warranty registrations. I would answer the phone, random stuff that would come in. I actually started the Service Titan program along with you when you first moved to Service Titan, offboarded from House Call Pro and moved over to Service Titan, and then started our trainee program as well.
So you walked in with zero trades experience. What did you actually know about HVAC and the trades industry? What did you know from day one?
I couldn't tell you the difference between HVAC, plumbing, and electric when I first started. And now I get to learn more and more every single day. I don't think that it's all based upon knowing each department. I think it's more about being organized and knowing how to communicate with people and being able to solve issues to problems, because anybody can find issues. And it's knowing that you'd be able to solve those issues, and that goes above knowing what the industry is about.
For sure. So let's walk the audience through kind of your progression through all your different roles at the company. I know we just said you started as a part-time admin and you are the COO now. Let's walk through each step of what role you took and kind of that timeline.
So I started in about September, and like I said earlier, permitting, calling customers back to get their tune-up scheduled on the board. Some warranty registrations here and there, and filing of those warranties, creating massive amount of spreadsheets, and starting with Service Titan. And in November, December, I said, hey, I'm ready to go full time. Are you ready? Do you have enough work to bring me on full time? And you said, yeah. And I said, all right. So January 1st, I went full time, and I just started there as admin. I learned customer service, stayed in customer service as we started expanding and actually dividing out the departments. So I did scheduling with customer service, answering the phone. Then I went into dispatch. And one thing that always stuck with me that you said was, you can't move into one position until you have your replacement in place. And I couldn't move from dispatch until I found my replacement. And I found my replacement. My replacement is our current customer service manager, Casey. And getting my replacement, getting her trained up and ready to go. And so I became a dispatcher and then a lead dispatcher. From there, I went to financial coordinator, and I was able to learn my way through the accounting system, QuickBooks. I had mentors along the way, which I couldn't have done it without having them there. And once I had that push from them to learn everything, I just kept on moving up. It wasn't about the title. It was more about being able to take on that responsibility and learn more, just being able to do it without having to be compensated. Or I was just that type of person. I'm always looking for more. I want to learn. I want to know more. I want to learn everything about the industry. And then I stayed in financial coordinator until I found my bookkeeper. Once I found my bookkeeper, I went into accounting manager. I stayed there. I worked really, really hard on learning that on after hours, whatever I needed to do to learn how to close the books, to learn how to get these numbers in place. And then the opportunity arose where I became the COO.
Amazing. So I think a lot of people might not understand financial coordinator, accounting manager. What do they actually do? Because, some people outsource their payroll. You are doing our entire payroll. We're doing a lot in revenue right now. And you were doing our entire payroll in-house as a financial coordinator. You were doing batching. You were closing the books. This is stuff that most people outsource. And we even tried outsourcing it at one point, and it really messed up our books. And you were able to catch that because you were good at your job. And you had no financial coordinating, bookkeeping, accounting experience before you started, right?
No, none at all.
Zero. And yeah, so I think a lot of the times we look for people with things on the resume, and that should prove to us that they're good at their job because they've got experience. I mean, we hired an outside firm that was a Nexstar partner, that was vetted, that was supposed to know what they were doing, and they greatly failed us. And now someone that had the want to do this the right way, like our mission, and she got this done for us. And I mean, she proved herself in each role. And whenever that next step came where we need someone at a higher level, of course, we're going to always choose somebody that has proven to us they've done well in the role that they're already in. So I think it was just a very natural progression for her, in my opinion. She had to work through some pretty tough things herself, though, to get above each role, because each role is even more demanding. So, all right, was there ever a moment where you thought this is too much, or am I cut out for this?
More times than I can probably tell you. The problem with the self-doubt is it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. And what I've learned along the way is if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. Once you're comfortable in a role, forget it. You need to find something else. You need to grow. You need to challenge yourself more, because once you're comfortable, you're just staying at a regular pace. You're not moving forward. You have to be willing to learn more. That's all it is.
So what was the hardest transition that you think you made from one role to the next in all the roles you made?
The hardest would probably be from financial coordinator to accounting manager, and then obviously to the COO position, because being responsible for my own work is one thing. Being responsible for others and leading them, that's a heavy responsibility, but being able to know that you're the one that's going to be leading them into the right way, or it could possibly be a completely different way, but it's leading them into where you see the company being one day.
What do you think is the biggest shift from upper management to middle management? I mean, typically middle management's over employees, and then upper management's typically over the middle managers. What do you think's the biggest transition there that you've encountered from going to middle management to upper management?
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure because not only do you have a full team like we do of over 70 people counting on you to having work every single day, but you're also that person responsible for driving that business forward and up. That's all it is. It's moving that business up and making sure that those people like their job. They like where they work. That it's not only about the money, but it's knowing that there's people's lives. These are people's lives. These are how they pay their bills. Their children and their wives and the rest of their families is what you're mostly responsible for. But also in the midst of that, it's that middle management is driving those managers to also grow, because you have to grow the business at the same time.
100%. So you just received a pretty prestigious award, 40 under 40, in the trade specifically. And you don't typically see women in a lot of trades businesses, and I think we really need to see more women in trades businesses. But you just won that award. I know there's been thousands of applicants. They went through so many people. That's really huge. Yeah, tell me about that. What do you think about that?
It's crazy. It's pretty crazy. I didn't believe it at first. When I first got the text message, we were actually sitting in your office, and I was looking at my phone, and I was in shock when I got it. It is a great opportunity to even be considered or be nominated. To do that it's just amazing. But I think the hard work that I've put in and will continue to put in, not only on myself, but in the company, is proof that anybody can do it.
Well, congratulations. You definitely deserve it. And let's get into what contractors actually need to hear. What do you think made it possible for someone with no trades background to grow into a COO role?
Accountability, 100%, and opportunity. I think you gave me the opportunity to prove myself, but you also expect results. It's not just the opportunity's there, take advantage of it. No, you have to prove yourself. I wasn't promoted because you thought that I could do it. I was promoted because I kept proving that I was going to do it. I was going to handle the responsibility, and I was going to do whatever it takes in order to make it to that position.
I would agree 100%. So I want to ask you something that might make you feel uncomfortable. What have I done as an owner that actually helped develop you? And what have I done to get in the way?
To help develop me, you trusted me before I even trusted myself. And that in itself is very important to me. You didn't just give me tasks. You let me make decisions, solve issues, and make mistakes, because mistakes are going to happen. Nobody is perfect. I think as far as what got in the way is, I think entrepreneurs like you have a dream, and sometimes you might think that we know what that dream is. So sometimes it could be a struggle because it requires you to give us a lot of communication, not just say, this is the vision, this is what I want to do, but to communicate to us of how we're going to get there, and or collaborate with us, which you're very good about doing, of how we can get there. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to create an academy. No, this is how we are going to create an academy. What are your thoughts? That's how you did it, but you could use a little better on the communication part.
I mean, I would agree. I think most CEOs, owners are typically visionary type personalities, which they have a lot of great ideas. They want to try all of them, and then you need an implementer to organize the ones that make sense and create a plan. And that's something that I've been working on, is being more of the implementer, less of the ideas guys. And that's literally what we're working on right now, is processes. Don't add another thing to your business or try another idea if you don't have solid processes down for the things you already do. So I would say I would agree with that. What do you think we've made mistakes with on developing people internally? I mean, this could be for leadership, this could be to the next level. Be honest about it, because I think contractors need to hear the real version, not the highlight reel of climate experts.
I would say probably promoting people before they're ready, or assuming that they're ready just because they want more money. Sometimes it's not just about the money. They have to know what they're getting themselves into. They have to have a day in the life of what that looks like, of what the expectations of the role. Because sometimes we could get a little happy about promoting somebody because that's always great, but that might not be the best person for that role at that time. We can revisit it in 6 months or so, but right now, that might not be the best person for that role.
So let's say someone comes to you and they say, Krystal, I'm ready for the next thing. I want to grow. I want the next role. What do you do in that situation when you have someone come to you like that?
We're really good about job expectations and making sure that they know what that job is all about, so that there is no confusion. When you expect something from somebody and it's not written, how do they know? Or we do a check-in, one-on-ones, performance evals. Those are very important because people want to know where they're at. I want to know where I'm at. I might not be performing to what you might think a COO should be doing, but I might be thinking that I'm killing it. And that's there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's very important to know where you are, where you want to be, how do you get there, what can you do to get there, and being there as a support for them.
So they come in, hey, I want to move up. They think they want this position. You then provide them with a very detailed job description of the role they think they want, which is usually not what they think it is. And then they can really see if they want that role. And then at that point, if they don't want that role, you can always talk to them about, okay, is this something where you're just looking for a raise? You want more performance, maybe more performance pay, maybe a better schedule, and it opens the door. And you just made a great point. If you're already doing one-to-ones and performance evals, those conversations probably already came up. So you're probably less likely to have that random, I want a raise, I want this position, or I'm going to leave type of conversation, because you already handled those in those one-to-ones, in those performance evals. And I get it. We have a lot going on as managers. We have a never-ending to-do list. How do you make sure that you get those one-to-ones and those performance evals done? Because we do performance evals monthly. And I know a lot of people do them yearly, which is insane. You don't remember half the things that happened the year. So how do you make sure that you get those one-to-ones and those performance evals done in a busy management position?
So I did my one-on-ones about a week and a half ago. So I already know I need to put them on my calendar. I need to put them on my calendar. They can't interrupt our huddles. They can't interrupt any other meetings that I have, but they have to be on the calendar and I need to stick to it. An idea that we spoke about this morning was potentially making questions, sending it to the employees, like we use HireFlix, sending it to the employees, having them answer, and then doing that one-on-one by the phone. With somebody that would work great. We are using it for our Home Depot lead generators. They are in the stores. They're trying to generate leads. They don't want to have to come into the office. They want to be in the stores generating the leads that we need. That would work great for technicians. You know, when you have a bunch of technicians like we do, they might not have time. But you know when they will have time? When they have to drive 30 minutes to their next customer's house. That's when they have time. So to me, just putting it on the calendar and making sure that you're following that to the T is very important. And if you do have to reschedule them, don't reschedule them for the next 2 weeks. Schedule them for the first thing in the morning so that nothing else interrupts your day.
I agree. You make that your standard. You hold yourself accountable, or you get an accountability partner that will hold you accountable. That's super important because if you don't do your one-to-ones, your employees will start feeling like you don't care about them. And if they feel that way, they start losing trust. And then guess what? They're starting to look for another job. And it's extremely expensive to replace any employee in 2026. It's super expensive. The recruiting ads, the training, it's worth it to get the one-to-one done consistently so that they aren't looking elsewhere. So I 100% agree. Put it on your calendar. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see contractors make when they try to promote someone within is kind of directly related to what Krystal just said. Is it someone in your business that is the firefighter, is the reactionary person that they will confront issues head on. They are looking for fires constantly, right? They're the ones that'll handle the customer complaint. They're the ones that will fire the employees. But those people typically are not your best managers. They are not your best leaders. They are just people that are used to being in conflict. They grew up in conflict. Maybe they were in the military. Maybe they had a home with a lot of conflict. So they're just comfortable being in conflict. That doesn't mean they're good at resolution. And we saw this in our business. We've hired management where they looked like strong managers, but they were just reactionary firefighters. And I see it in a lot of trades businesses because we're friends with a lot of trades businesses. We're part of Nexstar. There are over 1,000 contractors. We go to the events. We collaborate with these companies. And I personally believe one of the biggest issues is that they're promoting people that don't actually want to be managers or leaders. They just want to move up. And they're not vetting these people and making sure that they're actually good leaders and managers. Speaking of that, what would you say would be the biggest mistakes that you see contractors make with trying to promote someone from within? What do you think?
That they're not a culture fit. They're not a culture fit. That is the first thing that we look for when we hire. If you're a culture fit and you kind of are organized and you have that fire, you're probably going to be hired. But if you're not a culture fit, forget it. You're just out. It's not going to work. And I think that a lot of people are looking for people with experience. That's a normal thing to want because you don't want to have to put in that work. But the moment that you hire those people with experience, now you've hired people with bad habits. The chances of them changing is going to be very slim. People are not going to be willing to change. But if they're a culture fit, then you can get them to change their work habits based on processes that you create.
Yeah, I think it's funny, you nailed it. My next question was kind of directly related to this, contractors going outside to hire managers based on just a resume. And we see it, we interview these people, you sit down with them, and we do something pretty cool where after the first interview, we usually do a work trial. So they're not hired, they just come in, they sit with the managers or they sit with the department and they ride along. And we get to see their real personality and we get to ask them real questions. And it's good for them too, because if they're still employed, they don't have to quit their job before they know what we look like internally as well. And I highly recommend that you do something like this, because if you find this out months later, you just wasted their time, you wasted your time. And contractors, they're just looking for someone with that unicorn resume and 20 years as an HVAC service manager. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is a perfect fit. No, that is not the perfect fit. That's just a resume. And a lot of people just make stuff up. So, as far as like going outside to hire that experienced manager, like What are your recommendations to contractors in that realm?
As far as what to look for,
Would it be better to develop someone internally? Would it be better to find someone that was just a good culture fit that has like the leadership abilities? Or would you say do a healthy medium between the two? What would you say would be a good strategy for contractors to get a good manager hired?
I like to hire from within. Only because that's how I started. And I'm locked into the company. And most of the people in this company, in our company, that we have hired for higher level positions, they have all been promoted. Why? Because they are locked in. Culture fit is very important. We have had some people who have been management or are management that never started from a smaller position. I think it's a happy medium of both. But number one is they are not a culture fit. Don't think that you're going to be able to change those bad habits. It's just not going to work. Because imagine hiring somebody because they know a lot and then they're combative with our owner, Derek. Let's just say they're combative with Derek. That's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So we have to make sure that they're a culture fit first. Because with that culture fit meets all the requirements. Are they accountable? Are they friendly and able to handle more responsibilities? Are they willing to take ownership without anybody asking them? Do they have that problem solving skills, the communication skills? If I am trialing somebody and I ask them like, what do you like to do for fun? And they don't have something that aligns with the company and what our values are as a company, the chances are that they're not going to be in the company because they like to smoke and drink and which there's nothing wrong with those things. But if that's their idea of fun, then that's probably not going to be a good culture fit for us.
For sure. No, I definitely think that's important. If you look at our leadership team, our HVAC service manager came with no trades experience and no management experience. Our install manager came with no trades experience. Our customer service manager came with no trades experience. Our GM came with no trades experience. Now they worked their way up in the business, and I think we only have one person, our field ops manager, that came with trades experience, but everybody else did not. Did we hire people with trades experience? Yes. We've been through maybe 20 to 30 managers that did not work out. And by far, the ones that we hired that were good culture fits and trained have been the ones that have lasted and been successful. So I think that was a very good point. How do you determine if somebody in your company, we're talking about building leaders within your company, how do you determine if someone has those leadership qualities and potential? Like what types of things do you see where you're like, you know what, this person might be a good manager? And I'm saying leadership qualities for management, not just leadership qualities. Because I mean, I think everyone should have leadership qualities.
For management, willing to step up when needed, regardless of being compensated for it. Let's be truthful here. Everybody needs money, you know? Money is what drives people. I get that. But if you're not willing to put in the work and you're just after the money, then I'm sorry, it's not going to be a right fit for us. It's just not.
Managers make less typically than field employees.
100%.
That's
exactly.
just the reality. And
Yeah.
so many people don't realize that. They're like, oh, I'm going to be a manager one day. And I'm like, why? They're like, oh, I'm going to drive the fancy truck and make the money. No, dude, guess what? The field staff, some of them are making double of management and they have less stress. They have a better schedule. So it's insane. It's always people that have never been in management that think that. So someone that's selfish and they're like, I just want to make more money. Management is absolutely not for them. You are 100% right. Crash and burn.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people who have come up to us and said that they wanted to be management. Why? Because of the title. But they don't take into consideration all the work that comes behind it. We are open till 9 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and Sunday till 5. You have to be available for your team. You know how many times I've taken a call, a finance call, I have to go and put a lien on a property on a day off, or whatever the case may be. It's what you've signed up for, and you have to be ready for that. It's not just the title.
I 100% agree with you there. So for contractors that maybe they are handling most of those leadership roles themselves and they want to branch out to developing their own leaders in their team, what do you think they should do just to get started? Like, I know there's not a lot of really good leadership training for the trades that's specifically made for us. I know we're a part of Nexstar, the best practice group, and there's some good, I think, trainings within Nexstar. I don't necessarily think they have the best training for like leveling up leaders. So what do you think contractors should focus on if they find someone they think that they want to build into the next leader? Like, what do you think they should do with that person?
They need to be able to put the work in. You put in the work into me. You found me a good mentor. You are a good coach. I'm able to come to you with questions, and you don't always give me the answer. Sometimes I'm like, just give me the answer. You're not developing me by just giving me the answer. You're developing me by challenging me. By challenging me on what I think is the best answer to the problem. Because anybody can come to you with a million freaking issues. Anybody. I can find you 10 issues in my office alone. But it's being able to bring the solutions to those problems. So if you're looking for somebody that's going to give you issues in your business and you just have to give them the answer on how to solve them, that's not the right person. You'll never be able to step back from your business and let other people run it for you. You have been able to take a big step back in the business while still working on the business, but you're not in the business 100% of the time. You are working on the business. You have a family, you had a new baby that just came, and we wanted to make sure that you were set up to be able to take care of your family and you had the right support system. So you need to have that support system in your business. You can't be the only one who runs it, because one day, God forbids, you're not able to work or able to be around, that business is going to tank.
I agree. And I mean, you said something that's really important. Before you hire or start promoting leaders in your business to become managers, you have to be a really good leader yourself. You need to have the resources to be able to coach that person, or you're going to have to hire a really good coach that knows what they're doing. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you're the person above them, that leader will stop growing at your level. So you have to continue to level yourself up. In accounting, right, I had to level myself up to keep leveling you up. And then I had to hire coaches where I didn't have all those resources. And I had to learn those things too to hold you accountable. How do I know that you're doing well, with closing out the books? What date it should be done by? How our financial reporting goes, all those accounting meetings. I have to be able to understand all those things, or I can't hold you accountable and coach you. So I think before you start hiring leaders in your business, make sure you're a good leader first. The next thing I want to talk about is something I don't think is discussed enough, and that's what it actually looks like to be a woman in a leadership role in the trades industry. So tell me what that looks like, how that's going.
Not gonna lie, it's challenging. I don't know, a lot of your listeners might know who I am based on Nexstar networking and stuff, the classes that we've been to, and Service Titan Pantheon and all those events that we go to. But I'm 4'10", I'm a woman, and it's been very challenging at times. But it's also very rewarding, because I bet that I can walk circles around a lot of these business owners that are men that think that they know their accounting and their books. And I think people need to stop focusing whether you're a man or a woman, and they need to focus on if you're capable of doing the work and if you're able to lead people in the right direction. Because I'm consistent and I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop, and I'm going to keep delivering the results that I am requested of. And if you know what you're doing, just know what you're doing. Don't try to fake it, especially being in the trades. If you fake it, they're going to see right through you. So earn that respect and learn what you're doing.
100%. So have you ever felt like you'd had to prove yourself differently in this industry because of your gender?
At times, but being prepared and being consistent, I think that helps.
What do you think we could do in the trades just kind of to do a better job with females in leadership or in the field? Like, what do you think we could do to do a better job with that?
I think the same thing that you would do for a man. Coaching and accountability, just like anybody else. Don't put limits on women. We can go into an attic. We can install HVAC systems. We have had a couple of HVAC service women in our business, and they try just as hard as anybody else. Just don't put limits on them.
So what you're saying is that because people are treating them differently, they're not getting the same level of support or accountability, and it's setting them up for failure.
Yeah. Have a real conversation. Just like you specifically, you don't treat me any different because I'm a woman than our GM.
No.
Our GM and I are partners. We work directly together to build processes and to drive the business to where it needs to be. And honestly, I sometimes think you're harder on me than you are on him, because you know how far I can go.
100%. I think that's great advice. I think if we think someone's not capable, we manage them differently, and they're not going to grow. I mean, you got to be able to support the person, but also challenge them. So I think that is really good advice. So if there's a woman right now listening to this podcast, let's say they're in an entry-level role in the trades, what would you say to that person, or someone getting into the industry? Like, what would you tell them about the trades and how to succeed in the trades?
I would say Be willing to learn, be confident, don't underestimate yourself. You're going to be able to do much more than you think you can, but be ready. Be ready to be held accountable and be ready to put in that work.
I mean, honestly, if you think about it, you beat out almost every man, right, that's been working in the trades to get this role that wanted to move up. So, I mean, the proof's in the pudding there. Just because you have knowledge in the trades doesn't mean you're a good leader, doesn't mean you're successful in your role. Knowledge does not mean success. And I think we value knowledge too much. If you're just a shitty person, you just don't understand business, and you don't do really good customer service and do really good work, you're not as great as you think you are. So I'd say take advice from someone like Krystal that's grown in a company like ours, because it's going to do so much more for your business than just promoting the trades guys that's been doing it for 30 years. It just has the knowledge, but is an absolute horrible leader. So I want to talk about something I think that you maybe experienced. Have you ever felt like someone doubted you in your role so much that you didn't know that you should keep going? And this could have been just because of your level of experience. This could have been because you're a woman, whatever it was. Like, has that ever happened in the business?
You know the answer to that. When I first became accounting manager, I'm not going to say any names, someone came up to Derek, who was helping us drive business, and said that he didn't think that I would work out as an accounting manager. And you told me, and I was in shock. I was like, that's it. It's done. I'm probably not going to continue doing this. But what did I do? I picked up my big girl panties and I got to work. And that's when I got to be the best version of an accounting manager. And once again, it was hard. It was hard. Be mindful as well. I have 2 little boys and I have my husband, but I pick up my kids. I'm still mom. I pick up my kids. My kids play competitive baseball and they're 9 and 6. And I'm still there for every single game. I might be on my phone with the tech, but I'm there for every game. I'm the one playing the walk-up songs. I'm the one getting the groceries. Although delivered, it still counts. I'm still making dinner, cleaning the house. And I think that you have to be able to get to work and do it, because people are going to underestimate you no matter what.
Quick break. This episode is brought to you by Conduit Warranty Solutions. Yeah, I actually use them. I used to eat warranty work like an idiot. Now I own my own warranty and I actually make money on it. Conduit handles all the compliance, legal, all of it. If you own a shop and you're not doing this, you're just working for free. Conduit is the warranty that puts money back in the pockets of the guys doing the work. Call them today or go to their website to schedule a free consult at www.conduitwc.com, or keep losing money on warranties. I don't care. Back to the show. That was a business coach that told me that from one of the organizations we do coaching with. And most owners take everything that a coach tells them to heart like it's gold. And I think you need to have a little bit of intuition. Anyone could succeed based on how much work they're willing to put in. And I knew, Krystal, that you were willing to do whatever it took. So that news did not depress me at all. I just knew what I needed to do. I needed to light a fire under your ass. And I needed to let you know where you were at.
It didn't depress you, but shit as hell depressed me.
But you came out of it, and look at you now. So, I mean, you could look at that coach in the face and be like, what's up? I think it's important. It's okay to take advice and get advice from people in the industry, but you need to know your own team really well. You need to understand your people really well. And that is just advice. That is not a fact. And obviously it wasn't, because that wasn't true. She has obviously exceeded expectations in the accounting manager role and now our chief operating officer. So I'm glad that you worked through that, Krystal. And honestly, things like that just make you stronger, so that when more issues come in, you can then relate back to, you know what, I overcame this. Watch me do it again. What's your favorite thing about working in the trades?
Knowing that what we're doing actually matters. We are not chucking a truck. We are the badass company that's going to come into your home, shirt tucked, and if they are not, let me know. They're going to ask you if their vehicle is parked correctly. That truck is going to be wrapped. I think it's making people comfortable and not being scared of having random people in their homes. Me, myself, I don't want people in my house if I don't have to. I want to make sure that they're clean, that they don't stink. So I want to make sure that I am building, or I'm helping build, the company that I want to see in my home. and helping families stay comfortable and keep their house safe as well.
That is an amazing mission. And I think that is definitely part of our mission at Climate Experts, is just to create true professionals in the trades and a true professional that cares, that actually cares about the customer. And I don't think that's happening a lot in the trades. I think it's either we're just trying to sell them things, or we have no standards, so we're in t-shirts. And people make fun of our uniforms. They're like, those are clown uniforms. And they're wearing like dirty t-shirts that are ripped with like holes in their pants where you can see their underwear. And they're like, well, I'm a tradesman. And it's like, well, you're following a shitty standard that nobody actually wants. You stink, you can't communicate, you're not dressed well, while you're chewing tobacco or smoking cigarettes while trying to sell them this expensive indoor air quality. It's insane. I don't understand it. So yeah, we're going to look different. We're going to be really bright. We're going to be the standard of what the trades needs to get to. So I love that you have that mission. What's your least favorite thing about the trades right now?
The ever change that comes with the business. We had to change to AI. Not a lot of people like that, but it's what's helping the business grow. So being uncomfortable, obviously. There's a lot of people who don't like to be uncomfortable. I don't like to be uncomfortable, but that's the only way that I'm going to grow. So if bringing AI into the business helps alleviate some of the pressure, why not? But we also have to adapt to our customers. If our customers are not liking AI as an answering service, we need to change. We have to be okay with changing based on our customers. We listen to what they want because we value their opinion. We want that 5-star review. We strive for that 5-star review. So if we're not getting it, we need to figure out why.
100%. So what's one thing operationally that we changed at Climate Experts that you think has made the biggest difference as we've been growing?
It's still a process. It's building processes. Building processes is very difficult. We need to do more of it because a lot of times they rely on one person. Me and Robin have been in the company the longest, alongside you, of course. And a lot of times we can't help people because we're doing our own thing and we can't be the only person that people go to because we're the only ones who know the answer. There has to be a process in place and we need to do better about that as well. And we're starting to get better at it and we will continue to do that because it's the only way to move forward. Yeah,
100%. I mean, we're building out SOPs constantly and we change, right? We change our process when we notice something's not going well. And I think that's why it's difficult to hold an SOP because as we're constantly changing, you have to update those SOPs. But it's extremely important. We realize that we've been building SOPs, we've been building training processes that are repeatable, so it's not just one person having to train that person every single time. We use the system Trainual. So yes, it's a work in progress, and any owner, contractor that is working on their business, make those processes as soon as possible, keep them simple, so it's not all on you. What's one thing that most owners get wrong with HR and staffing, contractors?
Probably hiring when they need somebody instead of just always hiring. We are always hiring, whether we are full of service techs and whether we are full of CSRs, whether we are full of dispatchers or managers, anybody, we are constantly hiring. Why? Because John Smith might be a badass and we will find a spot for him if he is that badass that he says he is on the resume. But we also have an extensive hiring process. It's not just the Indeed application, it's the HireFlix. So you have to make sure that you have those things in place so that you're not hiring out of desperation. You're hiring because they are a good culture fit for your business.
100%. All right, I'm going to rapid fire some questions at you. First thing that comes to mind, I want you to answer.
Let's go.
All right. One thing every trades owner needs to hear right now about their team.
Your people are capable of more than what you think they are. Just be willing to invest in them.
I would agree. It's a great one. If you go back and tell yourself something on day one at Climate Experts, what would it be?
Just keep swimming. Just keep learning. Just keep learning the trades. You don't have to have the answers right away. Just be willing to learn.
What does the next version of Climate Experts look like to you?
A company that develops its leaders, creates more opportunity for the technicians, for the CSRs, and continuing on with 5-star service because that's the only way that we are going to last. If we are different than Chuck in a Truck. Customers have where we are located. Heck, there are 3 companies in the same building that we are in. You could literally go to 3 different companies, but we have to stand out. We have to stand out. So leave us with our clown shirts and our clown vehicles. We will be the clowns that you won't be.
Well, I like that. That's pretty good. Someone's sitting in an entry-level role right now at a trades company. They want to grow. What do you tell them?
Don't wait for the opportunity. Earn it. You'll learn if you work hard on it.
So I think something that we're working on right now that I think a lot of contractors should focus on is a really good training program. And in our area, there's not a lot of good trade schools. There's almost none. I think there's one at the community college, and it's not the best. They come out of there with an EPA certification and no knowledge. So if you don't have that in your area, you're going to have to build your technicians, your plumbers, your electricians. So you're going to have to create a program that at least could get them to the next level. And that's something we did. We have a full-time technical trainer, and we run a boot camp, and that boot camp gets them from no experience to a junior maintenance technician or installer for HVAC. At least do something. At least even if you have an apprenticeship program where you hire a guy or a girl and you put them in the truck with someone experienced and they ride along, at least have a system in place and a timeline and things they have to learn and prove that they've learned. Because without that, you're not going to grow. Because without people, you can't run the calls you need to generate the revenue for growth. And people just don't do the math. Something I think that you could talk about that I think could really help a lot of owners is like having a budget for the year. What's your goal? And when someone says, oh, my goal this year is to hit 3 million in revenue. And I'm going to say, okay, well, how many guys do you have in the field, right? How many calls are you planning on running a day? What's your average sale? What's your close rate? How many of those turn over? Because without that math, that 3 million is just a dream. And when contractors are like, oh, I'm not growing as fast as these other places, I don't understand why. And it's usually because they don't have a good plan. They don't have a good budget. And you have been a big part of helping us make that budget every year. I mean, we've almost doubled every year our revenue because we always make a plan. And you always look at me and you're like, no freaking way are we doing this.
Crazy.
But we figure out a way, yes. And I challenge you to figure out a way. But I mean, a lot of owners don't run a budget, right? They just throw a number up there and they just hope they continue to grow. What's some advice that you might have for owners, leaders about how to build the budget? What would you say to them?
What really helped us was the Next Star Budgeting Planning Workshop. I remember attending it, and that was a shit show. We were so confused on what we needed to do because we weren't prepared. But then we went back and we killed it the next year. We literally hit 50%. We did 50% more than what we thought we were going to do. And I think being prepared and having those numbers, not just going in blindly, but hey, I ran 75 demand calls. I'm just giving you an example. I know that I need to, in order to grow, I need to run now 100 demand calls. And okay, I did 1 million in service. I now know that I need to do this, but I need to increase their conversion rate. How am I going to do that? One thing that we're doing now, which has made a very huge impact in our business, is we meet 4 times a day. Is it time consuming? Yeah. Is it making a difference? Yeah, it's making a difference. We are driving revenue, and it's not just letting the numbers be what they are. We are driving that.
So when you say we meet 4 times a day, those are little quick huddles that go over what our plan is for what we need to hit for our goals and then where we're at. And that way we're tracking how far off or if we're on track, correct?
Right. So when we go to our budgeting planning workshop, we know how much electrical, how much Home Depot, how much install, how much sales, how much service, plumbing, how much each department needs to make on a monthly basis. I then take those numbers and I divvy them up by the amount of days in the month. And we know to the penny how much we need to make in each department every single day. And we post that in our general chat, in our Chili Champions channel, and everybody sees that. Everybody knows where we are and what we need to do to get there. So if our service department needs to hit $70,000 today, they know that they need to do that. And then the manager for that department reports they need to make, just giving you random number, 70,000. Their conversion rate is currently 50%. We need to get them to 60%. Their average sales currently 1,200. We need to get them to 1,500. And what we need to do to get there. It's not just showing up and reporting, we need to make $70,000, okay? Go figure it out. Here's a number, go figure it out. It's not about that. It's about diving deep into those numbers and figuring out what are we going to do to get there.
So what would you say to an owner or a leader in a contracting business that doesn't know their numbers?
Figure it out. Figure it out, or find a partner that is going to help you figure it out. A coach, a mentor. You don't need to know 1,000% what everything means, but you do need to know your numbers. You have to. This is how people steal from you. This is how companies go out of business, when you don't know your numbers. A lot of times in my earlier accounting manager days, I would report numbers and Derek would be like, "Are you sure about that?" Like the meme says, "Are you sure about that?" And I'd be like, "Yes, and this is how I knew." Okay, why? Because he challenged me and I knew what I needed to do, what I needed to report back to him to prove that those numbers were right. You don't want to let people have control.
We've had mistakes in the past, and that's again. So one thing that you could do to look at your profit and loss, right, month over month financials, your goal versus what you hit, you should be reviewing your financials at minimum monthly, so you could see if you're hitting your goals and what your overhead, your gross margins are. And something you could do is you can compare the previous month to this month. If one of those numbers is way off, something might have been moved into the wrong bin. And if you get all of your bookkeeping and accounting done from an external company, there's a very high likelihood they don't know where everything should go. You know, they might not be accruing payroll. There's something probably off. So the more accurate those numbers are, the better you know what you need to do to fix those situations. So we all meet internally and go over our full profit and loss as managers. We make sure everything looks accurate. We look at our gross margin, then we look at our overhead, and then we meet with a coach who then drills us on what our plan was supposed to be and to see whether we exceeded it or we missed it. And then there needs to be an action plan after the fact on action items that each person takes away to then move you to a better place. So you have to know your numbers. I don't care if you hire the best CFO in the world. You as a leader in the business have to know all of your numbers.
Perfect example. What happens if your marketing company forgets to send you a bill and they're $5,000 a month, and now that bill is in the next month, and now you have a $10,000 marketing bill? How do you not know that? Now you've messed up your June numbers because somebody forgot to put in a bill in May and June and account for that, and now you're having to make up this money. Same thing like what you said with accruing. If you're at the end of the month and you're accruing let's just say the first of the month lands on a Friday, and that's when your payroll hits, that whole payroll cycle, 4 days of those payroll cycles is supposed to be on the previous month. You are now putting that on your next month. What was to say that's not February and it's a very short month and you've now screwed yourself. Your numbers are not going to be accurate. You're not going to be able to see. It might not matter right now, but next year, when you're trying to compare numbers and you're like, why did I do so little in one month versus the next? Did you accrue payroll? That's very important. So we do accrue payroll on a weekly basis. We have guys that sometimes run electrical calls and they're plumbers because they know the trade. Or we have to move those commissions or those direct labors into the right business unit. If you don't, your GP for electrical is going to be off because you've now put it into plumbing.
I mean, owners are focusing way too much on revenue, even leaders, right? Revenue, look at my service tight numbers, and revenue. And revenue doesn't mean shit if you're negative profit, if you're losing money. Profit is what matters. Now we start with gross profit because we want to make sure direct labor, materials, that's all priced right, financing fees, commissions. And then we look at overhead and we have to see where we're missing or what we're doing well in. But profitability is what matters in business. Revenue is just vanity. It's just a number for show. So this is how you get a business to grow. You need money in your account to grow your business because you need to pay more people. You need to run more calls. And without profit, that's not going to happen. You can only get loans for so long. So amazing advice, Krystal. We really appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Every contractor thinks they need to hire someone who already knows the trades. You just heard why that thinking is costing you. Krystal had 0 trades experience, no HVAC background, no operations degree, no accounting degree, 6 years and a lot of hard work. Later, she is running half of this company. I did not find her. I built her. And if you're sitting there right now thinking you do not have the talent on your team to do this, you are wrong. You just have not invested in them yet. This is what Escape the One Man Show is about. Stop trying to escape the one man show by hiring your way out of it. Build the team, build the culture, build the company. See you on the next episode. If you're a contractor or a business owner that has questions about their business, call the Escape the One Man Show line at 321-495-7788. Leave your name, company, location, and your question, and I may feature it and answer it on the next episode. Thanks.